Sunday, March 19th, 2023, Maneco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. Today, we're going to look at how all fiat currencies are sinking, and I've been talking about this since December 2006. Yes, and I've got proof for you of that. I wrote an article back then in the blog that I used to keep called forsoundmoney.com. Before I start though, just like to update you on Rudy, who's growing very quickly, of course. He's about 3.5 months old right now. There he is. Say hello, Rudy. It's difficult to time when Rudy is going to be calm enough to lie down quietly and sleep on the sofa like Billy used to. So yeah, he was on the sofa just a few minutes ago, but he was not calm. So I brought him over to show you Rudy. We've been for a walk already this morning. We're going for about 4 walks already every day. He's very active. And yeah, I think we might go to the park today if it doesn't rain too hard. And I'm going to put him down on the floor. Hopefully he'll behave. So, back to they're all sinking. I found my article on the Wayback Machine. I don't keep that blog anymore. At the time in 2006, I was still working in the city, and I kept this privately for myself. This blog, one of my cousins helped me set it up, and as you can see here, I found it on the Wayback Machine. And the reason I'm talking about this today, of course, is that we've seen gold make all-time highs. Last week on Friday, we saw a huge move in gold in all major currencies. So it's not just dollar related, it's related to the whole fiat currency system. So the pound closed around 1630, just above there. As you can see, it's broken out. The Aussie dollar is almost at $3,000 gold, that is, in Aussie dollars. Gold in Japanese yen as well, almost at 262,000. And of course, gold in dollars did very well. We are approaching 2,000. I think we closed around 1990. This system here says 1986. If we stay, let's see, above 1975, before the end of the month, until the end of the month, it will have been the highest monthly close. So this is looking very good as well. And of course, recently I found out this website where you can reverse the pairs. So you put the fiat currency first and gold second. And as you can see here, for the last 57 years or so, the fiat currencies have been going down against gold. They've lost over 90%. The dollar has lost 98% since 1953. The pound 99. So I think we're in the last few percentages, or even the last percent, and that's going to be very tumultuous. I think not just economic, financially, but politically, as we're seeing with the Trump situation. I don't touch upon politics too much, but we will touch upon that later on today on the live stream, because I think that's very significant as it pertains to hyperinflation. So with that, let's read the article I wrote in 2006, 18th of December, as you can see here. My name, Mario Maneco. So they're all sinking. There has been a great deal of speculation over the last few years over when or whether the dollar will crash and burn. One thing many analysts, economists, and speculators have not taken into account is the fact that all other currencies on the planet are derived from the dollar. Don't forget, this was before the '08 crisis as well. So we've seen, of course, the balance sheet of the Fed explode since then. It's started picking up again last week. And it won't be long until all the other major central banks start, revving up the printing presses, the central bank money printing press. One has to go back to July 1944 to understand the nature of our present monetary system. That was when the major Allied nations gathered at the Mount Washington Hotel in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, to draw up a new financial architecture that would become the new backbone of commerce and trade for the Allied nations after the end of World War II. The United States held over 50% of the official gold reserves in the world at the time. And with that in mind, the dollar was formally made into the reserve currency for Western countries. It was decided that every $35 foreign central banks, or treasuries, I guess, held, they could receive 1 troy ounce of fine gold in exchange for it. Concurrently, fixed exchange rates between the US dollar and the Allied countries' currencies were decided upon. As one can see, gold was at the base of this monetary system, and the exchange rates between the dollar and the other currencies were just a derivative of this system. The Bretton Woods system ran smoothly up until the mid-1960s, but the Vietnam War and the welfare state started to weigh upon the system as Western governments thought they could spend money on guns and butter, especially the US. Vietnam War, the Great Society program of Lyndon Johnson, of course, and that somehow in the long term things would get better. So as usual, government profligacy wrecked a monetary system. A monetary system with gold as an anchor like the Bretton Woods system stood in the way of the welfare state. And I think I linked Greenspan's essay about gold and economic freedom, where he says that statists hate a gold standard. And politicians did not want to do away with the status quo. By 1971, the US government had printed too much money to pay for the Vietnam War and Lyndon Johnson's Great Society. These new dollars being printed were not being backed by a corresponding amount of gold, $35 per troy ounce. And as a result, foreign US creditors were demanding payment in gold. And this led to an unsustainable situation, which could have led to a run on the US Treasury. So on August 15, 1971, President Richard Nixon shut the bank. And as a result, closed the gold window, which meant foreign central banks and monetary authorities could no longer redeem their US dollar notes into gold at a fixed price. This act by President Nixon also led to the breakdown of the Bretton Woods system as the anchor of the system. Gold was abandoned. With the end of the Bretton Woods system also came the end of the fixed exchange rate monetary system. And as a result, the global monetary system, for the first time in modern times, had no standard of value for which to base itself on. So that's why it's important for the powers that be, especially the Anglo-American empire, the central banks of the US and Great Britain, the Fed and the Bank of England, to manage the gold price, because the higher it goes or the lower their currencies go, people realize how worthless, people start realizing how worthless these fiat currencies are. When do I think the end game will come? When will these currencies be worth zero? Well, I think it will be when people do not accept those currencies for gold or silver. That's when it happens. That's what happens in Venezuela, Zimbabwe, and other third world countries where they have hyperinflation. It's going to happen here in the UK and in the United States, I'm afraid to say. So since 1971, the dollar and the rest of the world's currencies have been sinking and gold has been rising. The purchasing power of the dollar and its fellow fiat currencies have also been steadily sinking since 1971. From 1971 to 1980, the fiat currencies of the world sunk very quickly and gold rose very fast. And the only way to save the fiat system was to allow short-term rates to spike into the 20% level. Well, this time they let it spike to 4.5%, and all hell has broken loose, right? The high interest rate scenario of 1980 saved the dollar, and as a result, all other fiat currencies. Gold, on the other hand, had risen in terms of dollars from $35 an ounce in 1971 to $875 in January of 1980, and then started sinking for the next 21 years as confidence in fiat money system remained in place. And you can see here that I've got the Kitco prices of gold at that time and silver. Since the trend has changed and gold has been rising again, and the dollar and all other major fiat currencies have started sinking, just like back in the 1970s. Here's a list of the major currencies and gold's performance versus these currencies since 2001. So here's where gold was when I wrote this article, 618 to the US dollar. So gold had gone up 143% since '01. The yen was at 73,000, had gone up as well, 143%. The euro is at 472, so it had gone up 70.4%. The Swiss franc was at 754, had gone up 77%. And the British pound actually did relatively well compared to the dollar in those early years of the 21st century. The gold had gone up 79.5%. It seems clear to us at For Sound Money that the only way to save the present monetary system would be for central banks and monetary authorities to let interest rates rise to their natural rates. The cost of such action would be disastrous to economic activity around the world. We know from past history that politicians would rather inflate than take proper action to stem the destruction of their fiat currencies. Amazing. And here we are almost, about 16 and a half years later. And we've continued to inflate. We continue to deficit spend. And I don't think they're going to stop. Politicians, they never take the hard medicine or the tough actions. They always kick the can down the road because they're not in power forever. So there we go. Just wanted to show you that. There's also part 2 that I wrote in April of 2007. I'm going to put a link to that in the description as well. That one was actually published in a blog called marketoracle.co.uk, so I didn't have to use the Wayback Machine. So there you go. With that, I'm going to wish you a very good Sunday, and I'll talk to you later during the live stream. Take care. Bye.